She nursed a cowboy back to health, unaware he was the millionaire behind the town's only hospital. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. The town of Cedar Creek was small, tucked away in the rolling hills of Texas, where everyone knew everyone. The streets were lined with oak trees, and the quiet hum of life was a gentle rhythm. At the center of it all stood the only hospital in town, a modest building that had seen better days. Despite its age, the hospital was a lifeline for the community, especially for those who couldn't afford the large city hospitals. One rainy afternoon, a cowboy named Jack Weston stumbled into the emergency room, injured after a fall off his horse. His boots were covered in mud, and his face was pale with pain. His hands trembled as he clutched his side, but he refused to let anyone help him until he was inside the doors. He had lived a hard life out in the country, and he wasn't about to show weakness. Inside, Anna Monroe, a young nurse who had been working at Cedar Creek Hospital for 2 years, was on her usual shift. She had seen her fair share of accidents, but there was something about this cowboy that caught her attention. Maybe it was the way he carried himself, or the way his eyes, though tired, held a certain strength. He was just another patient. But to Anna, he felt different. As she tended to his injuries, she never imagined that the man she was caring for was not just any cowboy, but the wealthy owner of the hospital itself. Jack Weston had built his empire from the ground up, using the wealth he made in the oil industry to invest in Cedar Creek's only hospital. But he preferred to stay out of the spotlight, keeping his identity hidden from the town. To him, the hospital was a passion project, something he believed in deeply, but he never wanted the credit for it. Anna worked diligently, cleaning his wounds and administering pain relief. She spoke to him as she would any other patient, not knowing the true nature of the man lying before her. Jack, in his pain, could only nod in gratitude, never revealing his identity. All he wanted was to get better, to return to his life and his work. As the night wore on, Anna stayed by his side, watching as he slowly drifted off to sleep. She had no idea that her act of kindness was about to change both their lives forever. Little did she know, the cowboy she had helped heal was a man who could alter the course of her future in ways she couldn't yet imagine. As the days passed, Jack Weston remained in the hospital under Anna Monroe's care. Slowly but surely, he began to recover from his injuries. Every day, Anna was there, checking his vitals, changing his bandages, and ensuring he was as comfortable as possible. She couldn't help but notice how strong-willed he was, how he refused to complain about the pain, even though it was clear he was suffering. His resilience fascinated her. Jack, on the other hand, was grateful for the care he was receiving, though he never let on just how much he appreciated it. He wasn't one to openly express vulnerability, especially not to someone he barely knew. He'd lived a tough life and had learned to keep his emotions buried deep inside. One morning, as Anna entered his room to check on him, she found him sitting up in bed, staring out the window. The early morning sunlight cast a warm glow on the room, and she could see the faintest smile on his lips as he watched the world outside. It was a rare moment of peace for the cowboy. Anna stepped closer, gently tapping his shoulder. "How are you feeling today?" she asked. Jack turned to her with a quiet nod. "Better. I think I might be able to get back on my feet soon." Anna smiled, glad to see that he was improving. "That's good to hear. You've been a tough patient." Jack chuckled softly, his deep voice filled with warmth. "I've had my fair share of tough moments." He paused for a moment, then added, "You've been a big help, though. I appreciate it." Anna's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't used to receiving such gratitude from her patients. It wasn't that she expected recognition for doing her job, but hearing it from someone like Jack, someone so strong and independent, made her feel like she was making a real difference. "It's just my job," she said, brushing it off with a modest smile. Jack raised an eyebrow, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Well, you're good at it." Anna felt her cheeks flush at the compliment, but before she could respond, the door to his room opened, and the doctor entered. "Good morning, doctor," Harris said, checking the charts in his hands. How are we feeling today, Mr. Weston? Jack nodded and gave a small grunt of acknowledgement. Better. Ready to get out of here soon. Doctor, Harris chuckled. Well, we'll see about that. You still need a few more days to recover fully, but you're on the right track. The doctor turned to Anna, giving her a knowing look. Keep doing what you're doing, Anna. He's in good hands with you. Anna smiled, but something in the doctor's tone made her uneasy. She hadn't thought much about it before, but now she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Jack than met the eye. He wasn't just any cowboy. She couldn't explain why, but something told her that Jack Weston wasn't the simple man he appeared to be. Over the next few days, Anna's curiosity grew. She continued to care for Jack, but her mind kept drifting to the mystery that surrounded him. She couldn't ignore the subtle hints, the way he carried himself, the occasional expensive watch peeking out from under his sleeve, the way he spoke with a quiet authority that didn't quite fit the rugged cowboy persona. He had mentioned once, almost offhandedly, that he ran a few businesses, but he never elaborated. Every time she tried to ask more, he would deflect the conversation. Anna wondered if he was hiding something, or if perhaps he was just a man who didn't like to reveal too much about himself. One evening, as she was preparing to leave for the night, she passed by the hospital's front desk. The receptionist, Carla, was talking to a man in a sharp suit, discussing a few details about the hospital's operations. The man's name was Mr. Weston. Anna froze, realizing with a shock that this man was likely the same Jack Weston she had been caring for. She quickly walked out of the hospital, trying to shake the feeling of unease that washed over her. The next day, as she entered Jack's room, she found him sitting up again, reading through some documents. He looked up at her, his gaze steady. "What's on your mind, Anna?" he asked, his voice calm and unbothered. Anna hesitated, unsure of how to approach the subject. "I saw someone yesterday, someone named Mr. Weston. I assume that's you?" Jack's eyes flickered for a brief moment, and then he smiled. "You've been asking questions, huh?" Anna felt her heart race. "I'm just curious," Jack chuckled, setting the papers down. "I suppose you would be. I'm not just a cowboy, Anna. I own this hospital, along with several other businesses in town." Anna's mouth went dry. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. The man she had been tending to, the one who seemed so ordinary, was the millionaire behind the town's only hospital. She didn't know whether to feel surprised, confused, or even betrayed. Jack must have noticed the shock on her face because he quickly added, "I didn't want anyone to know. I keep a low profile." He looked down, his voice softer now. "But I appreciate everything you've done for me, Anna. You've helped me more than you know." Anna stood there in stunned silence, trying to process the revelation. Jack Weston was not the man she thought he was. He wasn't just the cowboy from the ranch, he was someone far more influential, someone with a hidden life she never could have imagined. The revelation that Jack Weston, the cowboy Anna had been caring for, was the millionaire behind the hospital shook her to her core. For days, she couldn't shake the image of him sitting in his hospital room, revealing his true identity. Every time she looked at him, she saw a man who was not just a rugged cowboy, but someone who could change the course of her life. It was hard to reconcile the man who had kept his distance, hiding behind a mask of humility, with the powerful business owner he truly was. But despite the shock, she couldn't deny that she felt a deep sense of admiration for him. Jack had never boasted about his wealth or power. He never flaunted his status, preferring instead to live a life of quiet solitude. Anna admired that about him, but at the same time, she wondered why he had kept his true identity hidden for so long. As the days went by, Anna found herself spending more and more time with Jack. Their conversations grew more personal, and she found herself opening up to him in ways she hadn't with anyone else. She shared her dreams of becoming a successful artist, of one day opening her own studio. Jack listened attentively, never interrupting, his eyes full of understanding. It was clear that he respected her aspirations, but Anna couldn't help but feel a nagging doubt. She wondered if, once he knew who she really was, he would see her as nothing more than a nurse in a small town. One evening, as Anna sat at Jack's bedside, the air between them felt charged with something unspoken. The hospital was quiet, the only sound the steady beep of the heart monitor. Jack's gaze was fixed on the window, watching the sunset, his expression unreadable. "I've been thinking," Jack said, breaking the silence. Anna turned to him, curious. About what? Jack hesitated for a moment, as though weighing his words carefully. About you, he said finally. Anna's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure where this conversation was headed, but she felt a sense of dread creeping in. Me? She asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack nodded, his eyes never leaving hers. You're different from anyone I've ever met, he said, his voice low and sincere. Most people only see me as the man who owns the hospital or the rich guy in town. But you, Anna, you see me as just Jack. I don't know why that means so much to me, but it does. Anna felt a lump form in her throat. She didn't know what to say. She had always tried to treat him like any other patient, but she hadn't realized just how much her actions had meant to him. Jack's vulnerability was something she hadn't expected, and it made her heart ache. I see you, Jack, she said softly. I see you for who you really are. There was a long pause before Jack spoke again, his voice barely audible. I'm not a simple man, Anna. My life is complicated. There are things about me that I've kept hidden, things I've never shared with anyone. But with you, I feel like I can be myself. And that's something I haven't felt in a long time. Anna felt the weight of his words settle in her chest. She had always known there was more to Jack than met the eye. But hearing him admit it, seeing the raw emotion in his eyes, made her realize just how much she had come to care for him. You don't have to keep hiding, Jack, she said gently. I'm not going anywhere. For a moment, Jack didn't respond. He simply looked at her, as though searching her face for any hint of doubt. Finally, he nodded, the faintest smile tugging at his lips. I'm glad you're here, he said. As the days turned into weeks, Anna continued to care for Jack, but their relationship had changed. There was a new understanding between them, an unspoken bond that neither of them had anticipated. Jack, for the first time in years, began to open up more, revealing the truth about his past, his struggles, and the reasons behind his decision to stay out of the public eye. He wasn't just a wealthy man who had everything, he was someone who had lost a lot along the way. And Anna, in turn, began to see him not just as a patient, but as a person she could rely on. One evening, as the sun set over the small town of Cedar Creek, Jack looked out the window, his hand resting gently on Anna's. I never thought I'd find someone like you, Anna, he said quietly. Someone who sees me for who I really am. Anna smiled, her heart swelling with warmth. You don't have to be anyone else, Jack, she replied softly. You're perfect just the way you are. In that moment, Jack realized something he had been afraid to admit for a long time. He wasn't alone anymore. And maybe, just maybe, he had found the one person who could truly understand him. As the weeks went by, Anna and Jack's bond grew stronger. What started as a simple nurse-patient relationship had blossomed into something much deeper. Anna found herself looking forward to her shifts, not just because of her duty, but because of Jack. She began to notice things about him that she hadn't before, the way he smiled when he thought no one was looking, the way he cared for those around him, even the staff at the hospital. Despite his wealth and influence, Jack had a humility about him that was rare, and Anna admired him for it. One evening, after finishing her shift, Anna found herself standing outside the hospital, looking up at the sky. It had been a long day, but she couldn't help but think about Jack. She had never been one to let her emotions get in the way of her work, but this was different. There was something about him that drew her in, something that made her feel like she had known him for much longer than just a few weeks. As she walked to her car, she saw Jack standing near the entrance, his cowboy hat tipped low, casting a shadow over his eyes. He was waiting for her. Hey, Jack said softly as she approached. Can we talk? Anna's heart skipped a beat, but she smiled. Of course. They walked to a nearby bench, away from the hustle and bustle of the hospital. The evening air was cool, and the sound of crickets filled the silence between them. Jack sat down, his gaze distant as if he were trying to find the right words. Anna waited patiently, her heart racing. Finally, Jack turned to her, his expression serious. I've been thinking a lot about us, Anna, he said quietly. Anna's stomach tightened at the mention of us. She hadn't expected him to bring this up. She had always tried to keep things professional, but now, with the way Jack was looking at her, she felt a deep sense of uncertainty. I don't want to make things complicated, Jack continued, his voice steady but with a hint of vulnerability. But the truth is, I've been falling for you. I never expected it, but here I am. Anna's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected him to say that, but deep down, she knew she felt the same way. She had spent so much time convincing herself that they couldn't be more than just nurse and patient, but now, hearing Jack's confession, she couldn't deny the connection they shared. "Jack," she began, but he stopped her with a raised hand. "I know this is sudden, and I don't want to rush things," Jack said, his eyes searching hers. "I just needed you to know how I feel." Anna's heart fluttered as she sat beside him, trying to process what he had just said. She had never been one to rush into relationships, but with Jack, everything felt different. The connection they shared was undeniable, and the more time she spent with him, the more she realized how much she had come to care for him. "I care about you too, Jack," Anna said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack smiled, the warmth in his eyes melting any remaining uncertainty. "I'm glad to hear that," he said, his hand brushing against hers. For a long moment, they sat in silence, the weight of their unspoken feelings hanging in the air between them. It was as if the world around them had faded away, leaving only the two of them. But eventually, reality crept back in. Anna glanced at her watch. "I should get going," she said reluctantly. Jack nodded, standing up and offering her his hand. "I'll walk you to your car," he said. As they walked together, Anna felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. Jack had been the one constant in her life during the past few weeks, and now, she was beginning to understand why. He wasn't just the man she had cared for in the hospital, he was someone she could see herself with. Someone who made her feel safe and valued. When they reached her car, Jack turned to her, his hand gently cupping her face. "I'll see you tomorrow," he said softly. Anna nodded, her heart full. "I'll be thinking of you," she replied. As she drove home that night, Anna couldn't help but smile. She had never expected to find someone like Jack, someone who could make her feel so cared for, so understood. But here she was, her heart open to the possibility of something more. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like everything was falling into place. As the days passed, Anna and Jack's connection deepened, their quiet moments together, filled with meaningful conversations and shared smiles, became something Anna cherished more than anything. But, despite the growing affection between them, something lingered in the back of Anna's mind, her own insecurities. She had always been the type to doubt herself, unsure if she deserved someone like Jack, someone who seemed to have it all. He was successful, wealthy, and powerful, while she was just a small-town nurse with dreams of a better life. But Jack never once made her feel inferior. He listened to her, respected her dreams, and, most importantly, loved her for who she was. Anna still couldn't believe it. She had spent so many years protecting her heart, building walls around it, convinced that no one would ever understand her. But Jack did. One evening, as the sun set behind the Texas hills, casting a golden glow over the small town of Cedar Creek, Jack invited Anna to dinner at his ranch. It was a quiet, intimate gathering, just the two of them under the open sky. As they sat at the rustic wooden table, surrounded by the sounds of nature, Anna couldn't help but feel a sense of peace. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she belonged. "This place," Anna said, looking around at the sprawling ranch, "it's beautiful." Jack smiled, his gaze softening as he looked at her. "I've always loved it here," he said, his voice low and calm. "It's where I feel at home," Anna nodded, feeling the weight of his words. It wasn't just the land or the house that made it special. It was the life he had built here, the memories tied to it. As they ate their meal, they talked about everything and nothing. Jack opened up about his past, about the struggles he had faced before finding success. He wasn't the type to talk about his wealth or the businesses he owned, but he shared his fears and his dreams, revealing a side of himself that Anna had never seen before. "I wasn't always this successful," Jack said, pausing for a moment. "I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I've learned from them. And now, I want to make sure I don't lose sight of what really matters." Anna listened intently, moved by his honesty. She had always thought of Jack as someone who had it all figured out, but hearing him speak about his challenges made her realize that even the most successful people face their own struggles. "What really matters to you?" Anna asked softly. Jack looked at her, his eyes filled with sincerity. "You," he said simply, "you matter to me." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. She had never expected to hear those words from him, And yet, they felt so right. She reached across the table, taking his hand in hers. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. In that moment, everything felt perfect. But as the evening wore on, Anna began to feel a sense of unease. She had seen how other people treated Jack like he was untouchable, unreachable. She knew that, because of his wealth and status, their relationship would be scrutinized, judged. She wasn't sure if she was ready for the world to see them together. She had always lived a simple life, and the idea of being thrust into the spotlight made her nervous. Jack, sensing her discomfort, squeezed her hand gently. "I know what you're thinking," he said, his voice warm. "But it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, Anna. I care about you, and that's all that matters." His words, though comforting, didn't completely erase the doubts in Anna's mind. She was grateful for his love, but the fear of what might come next still lingered. "I just don't want things to change," she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't want to lose myself in all of this." Jack smiled, a reassuring glint in his eyes. "You won't lose yourself, Anna. I'll make sure of that." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their unspoken feelings hanging between them. It was a silence filled with understanding, with the knowledge that their relationship was about to face new challenges, but that they were ready to face them together. The next few weeks passed in a blur of stolen moments and quiet conversations. Jack continued to recover from his injuries, but Anna began to see him in a new light, not just as her patient, but as someone she was building a future with. She started to envision a life outside the walls of the hospital, a life where she and Jack could be free to love each other without fear. One afternoon, as they walked through the fields behind the ranch, Jack stopped and turned to Anna, his face serious. "I know we haven't talked about this much, but I want you to know something," he said, his voice steady. "I'm ready to build a future with you. I want you in my life, Anna. I've never been more certain of anything." Anna felt her heart swell with emotion. She had always dreamed of finding someone who would truly understand her, someone who would love her without conditions. And now, she had found that in Jack. She smiled, her heart full of love and hope for the future. "I want that too, Jack," she said softly. "I want a future with you." In that moment, Anna knew that no matter what challenges they faced, they would face them together. And for the first time in a long time, she felt truly at home. As Anna and Jack's relationship continued to blossom, the bond they shared deepened in ways neither of them had expected. They spent their days enjoying the quiet comfort of each other's company, but the reality of their different worlds still loomed over them. Jack, with all his wealth and influence, and Anna, with her humble life as a nurse, both knew their relationship would be scrutinized by the small town they lived in. Despite this, they were determined to build a future together, one where love and trust were at the core. One Saturday afternoon, as Anna sat at the small cafe in town, sipping on a cup of coffee, she couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that had settled in her chest. It was a feeling that had been growing since Jack's confession, and no matter how much she tried to ignore it, it wouldn't go away. She was torn between the life she had built for herself and the new, unfamiliar world that Jack was offering her. She had always valued her independence, and the idea of being swept into Jack's high society world made her nervous. Would she lose herself in that world? Would she become just another accessory to his success? The door to the cafe opened, and Jack walked in, his presence commanding as always. He was dressed casually, but there was an undeniable elegance to the way he carried himself. He spotted Anna immediately and made his way toward her, a smile lighting up his face. "Hey," he said, sitting down across from her. "How's your day going?" Anna forced a smile, trying to push away the anxiety she was feeling. "Good," she said, but her voice lacked the usual warmth. Jack raised an eyebrow, sensing that something was off. "You don't seem like yourself," he observed, his tone gentle. Anna sighed, setting her cup down and meeting his gaze. "It's just..." "I've been thinking," she began, her voice faltering. "About everything. About us." Jack's expression softened. "What about us?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. "I don't know if I can do this," Anna confessed, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "I've always been independent, Jack. I've built a life for myself here, and now I'm afraid that if I get too involved with you, I'll lose everything that matters to me. I'm scared I won't be the person I used to be." Jack reached across the table and took her hand in his touch reassuring. Anna, you won't lose yourself. I want you for who you are, not for what you can give me or the life I have. I don't need you to change. I love you just the way you are. Anna's heart ached at his words, but doubt still lingered. It's not that simple, she whispered. People in this town already talk. They think I'm only with you because of your money. I don't want to be judged like that. I don't want to be seen as just your girlfriend, someone who doesn't belong in your world. Jack squeezed her hand tighter. Let them talk. They don't know us. And honestly, their opinions don't matter to me. What matters is that I'm with you, and I want to build something real with you, no matter what anyone else says. Anna looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. She wanted to believe him, but the fear of what the future held was still there. But what if we can't make it work? What if we're just too different? She asked softly. Jack shook his head. We're not that different, Anna. I may have money, and I may run businesses, but at the end of the day, I'm just a man who loves you, and if you love me too, then that's all that matters. Anna felt a lump form in her throat. She had never had someone speak to her like this before, someone who saw her for who she truly was, without any expectations or judgments. The weight she had been carrying seemed to lift, even if only for a moment. I do love you, Jack, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. But I'm scared. Jack smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. I know you're scared, but we'll face everything together, Anna, and I'll be right here, no matter what comes our way. In that moment, Anna realized that she wasn't alone anymore. Jack wasn't just the millionaire who owned the hospital, he was someone who truly cared for her, someone who wanted to build a life with her. She wasn't sure what the future held, but with Jack by her side, she felt like, maybe, just maybe, they could make it work. Okay, she said, her voice steady. Let's try, together. Jack's smile widened, and for the first time in a long while, Anna felt a sense of peace. She wasn't alone in her fears anymore. With Jack, she could face anything. And as they sat there, hand in hand, Anna knew that this was just the beginning of something beautiful. As the days passed, Anna and Jack continued to navigate their relationship, growing closer and learning to balance their differences. They had found a rhythm, a peaceful harmony in their lives, but the world around them was beginning to shift. Word of their relationship spread throughout Cedar Creek, and while most people were supportive, there were still whispers behind their backs. Anna could feel the weight of those whispers as she walked through town, the curious stares and judgmental glances. The small-town mentality made it hard to escape the feeling that everyone had an opinion on her relationship with Jack. But despite the challenges, Anna remained focused on the love she and Jack shared. Jack, for his part, seemed unaffected by the gossip. He had always been a man who kept to himself, and now he was even more determined to protect what they had built together. One afternoon, Jack invited Anna to join him for a visit to the hospital. It had been a while since she had been there, and the thought of seeing the place where she had spent so much of her time before meeting Jack made her feel nostalgic. As they walked through the familiar halls, Jack introduced her to a few of the staff members, all of whom greeted her with warm smiles. It was clear that Jack had earned the respect of everyone there, and Anna couldn't help but feel proud of him. But as they reached the office, Jack's expression changed. He had always been a man of few words, but today, something was different. Anna noticed the tension in his shoulders as he opened the door to his office. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice soft. Jack hesitated before answering. "There's been some talk around here, Anna. Some people don't understand our relationship, and it's starting to affect the hospital. I've had a few staff members express concerns about the way things are being run." Anna's heart sank. She had known this day might come, but hearing it from Jack made her feel a knot form in her stomach. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Jack took a deep breath and sat down behind his desk. "I'm not sure, but there's been some gossip about favoritism, about me giving you special treatment because of our relationship. It's affecting the way people see you, and I don't want that for you." Anna felt a pang of guilt. She had always prided herself on her professionalism, and the last thing she wanted was to be seen as someone who had used her relationship with Jack to get ahead. "Jack, I never asked for any special treatment," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I just wanted to do my job and be there for you. I didn't want anyone to think that I was taking advantage of you." Jack reached across the desk, taking her hand in his. I know you didn't, Anna, and I don't want you to think that I'm blaming you, but I need you to understand that we have to be careful. This town, the hospital, everything, it's all under scrutiny now. Anna nodded, feeling the weight of his words. She knew that their relationship was always going to be complicated, but this was something new. She had never anticipated that her personal life would have such an impact on her work. Jack squeezed her hand, his gaze softening. I'll handle it, he said, his voice calm and reassuring. I won't let anyone come between us. But I need you to be strong. The road ahead might not be easy, but we'll get through it together. Anna took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. She had always been strong, always put others first, but now she realized that she had to take a step back and protect herself. She couldn't let the opinions of others dictate her happiness. I'm ready, Jack, she said quietly. I'll stand by you, no matter what. Jack smiled, a rare smile that reached his eyes. And for a moment, Anna saw the weight of everything he had been carrying. I'm glad, he said, because I don't want to face this alone. As they stood up and left the office, Anna felt a sense of resolve settle over her. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing for sure: she and Jack would face it together. The road ahead might be tough, but they had already overcome so much. And with Jack by her side, Anna believed they could make it through anything. As the days went on, Anna and Jack faced new challenges together, but this time, things felt different. There was a sense of urgency in the air, as they both navigated the weight of their growing relationship and the mounting pressures that came with it. The small-town whispers about their relationship had become louder, and Jack had become the center of attention, not just because of his wealth and influence, but now also because of his personal life. Anna had always been able to handle criticism, but seeing how it affected Jack made her heart ache. She knew that the eyes of the town were upon them, and that was beginning to take a toll. One morning, as she entered the hospital for her shift, Anna was greeted by Carla, the receptionist, who was looking at her with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Hey Anna, Carla said, her voice a little too quiet. You might want to check your email. There's something going around the hospital. Anna's heart skipped a beat. She had a feeling she knew what it was about. After all, the rumors had been swirling for weeks now, and she couldn't avoid them forever. Carla handed her a slip of paper with the information she needed. Anna opened her email, her hands trembling slightly as she read the message from the hospital's board of directors. The email was brief but to the point. There had been complaints from several staff members about perceived favoritism toward Anna, given her relationship with Jack. The board wanted to meet with her to discuss the situation. Anna couldn't help but feel a knot form in her stomach. She had known this was coming, but that didn't make it any easier to face. She immediately forwarded the email to Jack, who called her within minutes. I knew this was going to happen, he said, his voice filled with frustration. Don't worry, Anna. I'll handle it. Anna shook her head, though he couldn't see her. No, Jack. I can't just hide behind you. I need to face this head on. Jack was silent for a moment, and then he spoke softly, as if trying to reassure her. You don't have to do this alone, Anna. We're in this together. You're part of my world now, and we'll handle this together. Anna took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words settle in her chest. She knew that Jack meant it, but the fear of what might happen still gnawed at her. As she walked to the meeting room later that afternoon, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The room was filled with a few of the higher-ups from the hospital, and they all seemed to be waiting for her to explain herself. She took a seat at the long table, her heart pounding in her chest. The head of the board, a stern woman named Margaret, cleared her throat. Anna, Margaret began, we've received concerns from several staff members that your relationship with Mr. Weston has affected your professional conduct here at the hospital. Anna nodded, swallowing hard. I understand, she said, her voice steady but soft. I want to make it clear that my relationship with Jack does not affect my ability to do my job. I'm here to work, and I'm committed to my role as a nurse. There was a moment of silence as the board members exchanged glances. Margaret continued. We've had complaints about favoritism, about the perception that you're receiving special treatment because of your relationship with Mr. Weston. And while we understand that your relationship is personal, we have to consider the impact on the rest of the staff. Anna could feel her heart racing, but she refused to let her nerves get the best of her. "I have always tried to remain professional," she said firmly. "I've never asked for special treatment, and I don't expect any. I've worked hard to get where I am, and I don't want anyone to think I'm taking advantage of my relationship with Jack." Margaret studied her for a moment, her expression unreadable. "We'll take your words into consideration, Anna. But we need to be sure that you can continue to work here without causing further tension. We're giving you a probationary period. If the situation doesn't improve, we'll have to make some tough decisions." Anna nodded, her heart heavy. "I understand," she said quietly. After the meeting, Anna felt as though the weight of the world was on her shoulders. She wasn't sure how to fix the situation, but she knew she had to try. As she left the hospital that evening, Jack was waiting for her outside. She could see the concern on his face as soon as he saw her. "How did it go?" he asked, his voice low. Anna let out a sigh and shook her head. "It's not over. They've given me a probationary period to prove myself, but I don't know what that means for us." Jack stepped closer, his hand gently touching hers. "We'll figure it out, Anna. We always do. Don't let them get to you." Anna smiled, feeling the familiar comfort of Jack's presence. "I'm not giving up," she said, her voice strong. "I'm going to prove them wrong. I have to." Jack kissed her forehead, his gaze soft but filled with determination. "I know you will." And in that moment, Anna realized that no matter how hard things got, she had Jack by her side, and together they could face whatever challenges came their way. The next few days were a blur of tension and uncertainty for Anna. The probationary period given by the hospital felt like a ticking clock, and every decision she made seemed to carry weight. She tried her best to focus on her patients and the work she loved, but the constant scrutiny from the staff made it difficult. Everywhere she went, whispers followed her. Some of the nurses were friendly, offering her smiles and encouragement, but others looked at her with cold eyes, as though judging her every move. Anna couldn't help but feel the sting of their disapproval. She had always prided herself on her professionalism, but now she found herself questioning everything. Was she really cut out for this job? Was her relationship with Jack jeopardizing everything she had worked for? Jack, as always, remained by her side. He could sense her unease, and did everything he could to reassure her. But the strain was beginning to take its toll on both of them. One evening, after a particularly difficult day at the hospital, Anna found herself sitting on the porch of her apartment, staring out at the night sky. The stars were bright, but they didn't offer her the comfort they once did. Her mind was racing, consumed by all the questions that had been haunting her. She heard footsteps behind her and turned to see Jack walking up the steps, his expression concerned but calm. "Hey," he said softly, sitting down beside her. "How was your day?" Anna sighed, running a hand through her hair. "It was hard," she admitted, her voice tinged with frustration. "There's so much pressure. I feel like I can't do anything right." Jack placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch grounding her. "You're doing your best, Anna. That's all anyone can ask of you." Anna shook her head, not convinced. "It doesn't feel like enough. People are talking, Jack. I can feel it. And the worst part is, I'm starting to doubt myself." Jack turned to face her, his gaze intense and unwavering. "You're stronger than this. You've always been strong. You just have to remember why you're here. You're here because you're good at what you do. You're here because you care about people." Anna looked at him, her eyes filled with uncertainty. "But what if I'm not good enough? What if they're right?" Jack gently cupped her face in his hands, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Anna, listen to me. You are good enough. You've always been good enough. The people who are judging you don't know you like I do. They don't see the heart you have, the dedication you put into everything you do. And I know that, no matter what anyone else says, you're capable of so much more than they'll ever understand." His words hit her like a wave, washing away the doubts she had been carrying. For the first time in days, she felt a sense of clarity. Jack was right. She had spent so much time worrying about how others saw her that she had forgotten why she started nursing in the first place. It wasn't for the recognition or approval of others. It was because she cared. It was because she wanted to make a difference. "I'm not going to let them control me," she said, her voice steady now. "I'm going to keep doing my job, and I'm going to prove that I deserve to be here. I'm not going to let them tear me down." Jack smiled, a sense of pride in his eyes. "That's the woman I know," he said, leaning in to kiss her forehead. "I believe in you, Anna, and no matter what happens, I'll always be here for you." Anna felt a surge of warmth spread through her chest at his words. She knew that Jack would stand by her no matter what, and that, more than anything, gave her the strength to face whatever came next. The next morning, she walked into the hospital with a renewed sense of determination. She held her head high, ready to face the challenges that awaited her. The whispers may have followed her, but they no longer had the power to control her. She was there to do her job, and that was all that mattered. As she entered the break room, a few of the nurses greeted her with smiles, and she returned the gestures, feeling a little lighter. She wasn't alone in this fight. Slowly, one step at a time, she was going to show them that she belonged, that she was more than just the rumors and the gossip. She was Anna Monroe, a dedicated nurse, and she wasn't going anywhere. As the days passed, Anna began to feel a subtle shift within the hospital. Her resolve had grown stronger after Jack's words of encouragement, and she held her head a little higher as she walked the familiar halls. The whispers hadn't completely stopped, but the weight of them seemed lighter now. Anna realized that while the opinions of others might sting, they no longer defined her. She had Jack's support, and that was enough. However, the tension still loomed in the background, especially as the hospital board kept a close eye on her progress. Anna's probationary period was nearing its end, and she couldn't shake the fear that she might fail. But with every day, she proved herself more capable, more determined. She went above and beyond with her patients, showing the same dedication and care that had always defined her as a nurse. Still, in the quiet moments when she was alone, doubt crept in. Would her efforts be enough? Would she ever be able to fully silence the critics? One afternoon, as Anna was finishing up her shift, she was called into Dr. Harris's office. Her stomach tightened. Dr. Harris had been one of the few people who had supported her from the beginning, but she couldn't help but wonder if the board had said something to him. "Come in, Anna." "Doctor," Harris said, motioning to the chair across from him. He looked at her with a serious expression, and Anna's heart skipped a beat. "Is everything okay?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Dr. Harris nodded, though his expression didn't soften. "I just wanted to check in on how things are going," he said. "How are you holding up?" Anna hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "It's been tough," she admitted. "The gossip, the pressure. It's hard to ignore it all." Dr. Harris leaned forward slightly, his hands folded on the desk. "I know it's not easy, Anna," he said gently. "But I've been watching you, and I see how hard you're working. You're doing an excellent job, and I want you to know that I'm proud of you." Anna felt a surge of relief wash over her, but she quickly pushed it aside, not wanting to get her hopes up too soon. "Thank you, Dr. Harris, but I'm still worried. I'm not sure if I'm doing enough." Dr. Harris raised an eyebrow. "Enough? Anna, you've been nothing short of exemplary. The board is aware of your dedication, and I've been speaking up on your behalf. You don't have anything to prove to anyone but yourself." His words hit her harder than she expected. Anna had always been her own harshest critic, and hearing this from someone she respected meant more than she could say. "I've been hearing good things about you from the staff as well," Dr. Harris continued. "It's clear that your patients trust you, and that's what matters most." Anna felt a smile tug at her lips, but it was tinged with uncertainty. "I hope that's enough," she said quietly. Dr. Harris gave her a reassuring smile. "It is. And just so you know, I've spoken with the board. They're happy with your progress. You've earned your place here, Anna." For the first time in weeks, Anna felt like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She had been so focused on proving herself that she hadn't realized how far she had come. The road ahead wouldn't be without its challenges, but now she felt ready to face them. As she walked out of Dr. Harris's office, the familiar tension in the air seemed to dissipate, replaced with a sense of calm she hadn't felt in a long time. She still had work to do, but for the first time, she believed she could do it. Later that evening, Jack took her out for dinner to celebrate the news. They sat at their favorite restaurant, a small, quiet place by the lake. Jack reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I'm proud of you," he said softly. "You've handled everything with so much strength and grace." Anna smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. I couldn't have done it without you, she replied. Jack smiled back, his eyes full of warmth. We're a team, Anna. Always have been. Always will be. As they sat there, enjoying the quiet comfort of each other's company, Anna realized that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. She had found her strength, and with Jack by her side, she knew there was nothing she couldn't handle. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time, Anna felt ready to embrace it, one step at a time. As Anna settled into her new sense of confidence, the challenges she had once feared began to feel more manageable. The whispers that once clouded her days seemed to fade, replaced by the quiet certainty that she had earned her place at the hospital. The board had recognized her efforts, and her colleagues were starting to show her the respect she had always wanted. Yet, despite the progress she had made, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that something big was just around the corner. Jack had always been by her side, but lately, his expression had become more serious, as though he were carrying a burden of his own. One evening, after a long day at the hospital, Anna met Jack at his ranch for dinner. She had been looking forward to spending some time with him, hoping to relax and share a peaceful evening. But as she entered the dining room, she noticed that Jack was standing by the window, staring out at the horizon. His posture was tense, and there was a heaviness in the air that Anna couldn't quite place. "Jack?" she called softly, walking toward him. He turned, his face softening when he saw her. "Hey, Anna," he said, though his voice lacked its usual warmth. "Everything okay?" Anna asked, her concern growing. Jack hesitated, then sighed deeply. "I'm just dealing with something. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you, but I'm not sure how." Anna's heart skipped a beat. The way he spoke, as though he were carrying the weight of the world, made her anxious. "Tell me what?" she asked, her voice gentle. Jack walked over to the table and sat down, running a hand through his hair. "There's been some trouble at the hospital," he said quietly. "Some of the staff have been questioning my leadership, and I've been getting pressure from the board. They're worried that my personal life is affecting my ability to manage things." Anna's stomach tightened. She knew how much the hospital meant to Jack, how deeply he cared about its success and the well-being of the staff. The thought that his position might be in jeopardy made her heart ache. "What are they saying?" she asked, sitting down beside him. Jack looked at her, his eyes filled with frustration. "They're saying that I'm too distracted by our relationship, that I'm letting personal matters cloud my judgment." Anna reached out and took his hand in hers. "Jack, you've been doing everything you can. You've worked hard to build that hospital, and you've done more for this town than anyone else could. You can't let them make you doubt yourself." Jack looked at her, his expression softening. "I don't want to disappoint you, Anna. I don't want to drag you into this. I've been trying to fix things on my own, but the pressure is starting to get to me." Anna squeezed his hand, her heart swelling with compassion. "You don't have to do this alone. We're a team, remember? Whatever happens, we'll face it together." Jack smiled, though it was tinged with sadness. "I don't want you to get hurt because of this," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I care about you too much." Anna leaned in, brushing her lips gently against his. "You don't have to worry about me," she said softly. "I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." For a moment, the weight of the world seemed to lift, and Jack allowed himself to relax, just for a second. But as he pulled away, the reality of the situation came crashing back. "I'm not sure what the next step is, Anna," he admitted. "But I know I can't keep going like this. I need to make a choice." Anna nodded, understanding the gravity of his words. She knew that Jack was at a crossroads, and whatever decision he made would affect not just him, but their future together. "Whatever you choose, Jack, I'll be here," she said, her voice filled with unwavering support. Jack smiled, though the uncertainty still lingered in his eyes. "Thank you, Anna. I don't deserve you, but I'm glad I have you." Anna's heart swelled with love for him. "You deserve everything, Jack, and I'm lucky to be by your side." The rest of the evening passed quietly, but the conversation had planted a seed in Anna's mind. Jack was facing a difficult decision, one that could change everything, and as much as she wanted to be there for him, she knew that this was something he would have to work through on his own. As they parted that night, Anna kissed him goodbye, her mind racing with thoughts of what the future held. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, Anna felt ready to face whatever came their way. She and Jack had built something real together, and she knew that no matter what, they would always have each other. Days turned into weeks, and the weight of the decision Jack had to make loomed over them both. Anna could see the toll it was taking on him, the long hours spent in meetings, the deep frown lines on his face that never seemed to go away. He had always been a man who carried the weight of responsibility with grace, but now, it was clear that the pressure was starting to break him. The hospital, the board, and the growing tensions between his personal and professional lives had put Jack at a crossroads. Anna couldn't help but feel for him. She had seen the way he poured his heart into the hospital, how much it meant to him, and how much he wanted to make things work, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. One evening, as they sat together on the porch of Jack's ranch, the golden light of the setting sun casting a warm glow over the land, Jack finally spoke. "I've been thinking a lot about everything," he said quietly, his gaze distant as he stared out at the horizon. "The pressure from the hospital board, the whispers from the staff, it's all been eating away at me. I'm not sure how much longer I can keep pretending like everything is fine." Anna's heart ached as she listened to him. She knew how much he cared about his work, but she also knew that he couldn't keep sacrificing his own well-being to meet everyone else's expectations. "Jack," she said softly, turning to him, "you don't have to do this alone. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together." Jack looked at her, his expression softening. "I know," he said quietly, "but I feel like I've failed. I've let down the hospital, and I've let down you." Anna reached for his hand, her fingers gently wrapping around his. "You haven't failed anyone, Jack. You've done everything you could, and you've worked harder than anyone else. But you can't keep carrying all of this by yourself." Jack looked at her. His eyes filled with a mixture of exhaustion and doubt. "I don't want to disappoint you, Anna," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Anna felt a lump form in her throat. She had never seen Jack this vulnerable before, and it broke her heart. "Jack," she said, her voice steady and full of conviction, "you're not disappointing me. You're the most incredible man I've ever met, and I believe in you. We'll find a way through this. Together." There was a long pause as Jack took in her words. Slowly, a small smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. "I don't deserve you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Anna smiled back, squeezing his hand. "You do," she said softly, "more than you know." In the weeks that followed, Jack made the difficult decision to step down from his position at the hospital. It wasn't easy for him, but he knew that it was the right thing to do. The pressure had become too much, and he needed to take a step back to focus on his own well-being and his relationship with Anna. It was a decision that rocked the hospital community, but Jack remained resolute. He knew that he had given everything he could, and now it was time to take care of himself. Anna supported him every step of the way, helping him navigate the difficult conversations with the board and the staff. While the transition wasn't easy, Anna knew that this was a new beginning for both of them. As the months passed, Anna and Jack found a new sense of balance in their lives. Jack had taken on a new role in the community, one that allowed him to still be involved in the hospital but without the overwhelming responsibility. He was able to focus more on his personal life, on the things that truly mattered, and on his relationship with Anna. For the first time in a long time, Jack was at peace. Anna continued to thrive in her work, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day. They had faced so many obstacles together, but now, they were on a path to something even greater. One evening, as they walked hand in hand along the path behind the ranch, Jack stopped and turned to her, his eyes filled with love. "I don't think I've ever been this happy, Anna," he said, his voice full of warmth. Anna smiled, her heart full. "Me neither," she replied, her voice soft. "We've been through a lot, but we're here, together." Jack kissed her gently, the weight of their past struggles fading away as they stood together in the quiet, peaceful evening. Anna knew that their journey was far from over, but with Jack by her side, she was ready for whatever came next. Together, they had found the strength to overcome anything, and now they could face the future with confidence and love. As time passed, Anna and Jack's lives slowly settled into a peaceful routine. The challenges they had faced together had only made them stronger, and their bond grew deeper with each passing day. Jack, having stepped away from his role at the hospital, found a new sense of purpose in the community. He focused on smaller, more personal projects that allowed him to stay connected to his passions without the overwhelming pressure of running the entire hospital. Anna, too, thrived in her role, having proven herself time and again, not only as a dedicated nurse but also as a woman who could navigate the complexities of her personal life without letting it define her work. They had both learned to prioritize what truly mattered each other, their health, and the peace that came from living a life rooted in love and authenticity. One crisp autumn morning, Jack and Anna sat on the porch of the ranch, the sun rising over the fields, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. It was their favorite time of day, a time when everything felt right, when the world was still, and all they had to do was enjoy each other's company. Jack turned to Anna, his expression filled with a quiet joy. "I've been thinking," he said, his voice soft, "about everything we've been through. All the struggles, the doubts, the moments where we didn't know if we could keep going." Anna smiled, her heart full as she looked at him. "We made it through, Jack," she replied. "And we're better for it." Jack took her hand in his fingers gently tracing the lines of her palm. "I don't think I've ever been more sure of anything in my life," he said. "I'm so glad I found you, Anna. I know we've had our fair share of challenges, but I wouldn't trade any of it for anything." Anna leaned in, resting her head on his shoulder, feeling the warmth of his embrace. "Neither would I," she murmured. "We've built something real, something that's ours, and that's all that matters." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the world wake up around them. The ranch had become a place of peace for both of them, a place where they could escape the pressures of the outside world and just be themselves. They had come a long way from the uncertainty of their early days together. Anna had found her place in Jack's world, and Jack had learned to embrace the love that had always been right in front of him. Their journey had been anything but easy, but they had faced it with a strength they hadn't known they possessed. They had learned to trust each other, to communicate openly, and to support one another through whatever life threw their way. As the days went by, Jack began to take on more community projects, using his wealth and influence to help those in need. Anna continued her work at the hospital, where she was respected not only for her skills but for the grace with which she handled everything that came her way. Together, they had created a life full of purpose, love, and fulfillment. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset, Jack turned to Anna, his eyes filled with love. "I don't know what the future holds," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "But as long as I'm with you, I know everything will be okay." Anna smiled, her heart swelling with happiness. "I feel the same way, Jack," she said, her voice steady with conviction. "No matter what comes next, we'll face it together." Jack took her hand in his and kissed her gently. It was a kiss full of promises, of dreams for the future, and of the unwavering bond they shared. As they sat together, the sun dipping below the horizon, they both knew that whatever challenges life had in store for them, they would always have each other. And with that knowledge, they were ready to face the future, one step at a time, hand in hand. In this touching millionaire story, followed the journey of Anna, a dedicated nurse, and Jack, a wealthy businessman who finds love against the backdrop of life's challenges. As they navigate through the ups and downs of their relationship, from the scrutiny of small-town gossip to the pressures of personal and professional life, this millionaire story reveals how love, trust, and perseverance can overcome the hardest obstacles. With Anna by his side, Jack learns that true happiness lies not in wealth, but in the people who matter most. Through moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty, Anna and Jack's story reminds us that love can flourish even in the most difficult circumstances. Their millionaire story unfolds as they find balance, take on new challenges together, and ultimately embrace a future where they are stronger than ever before. This is one of those millionaire stories that prove how sometimes the greatest riches are found in the hearts of those who truly love. Discover how Anna and Jack's relationship evolves, not just through personal growth, but through the bond they share in overcoming adversity together. Their millionaire story is a powerful reminder that wealth may offer comfort, but it's love that truly enriches our lives.